What's up, everybody? It is I, Tevin El Chapo, friends call me Chop. We are back with another episode of Chop Logic. Yes, where I, Tevin El Chapo, friends call me Chop, get to the logic of things in my own special Chop way. So first things first, man, of course, as always, a little bit of housekeeping. Please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. We give a lot of good episodes, a lot of good game on each episode, bring on people from time to time as well. So it's definitely a fun time here. Also, don't forget to like this video as well. Now, today, we're talking about something that I know a lot about. I know a lot about this one right here. You know what I'm saying? Self-learning. Self-learning as a creative, self-learning just in general is super fruitful, super helpful. And, you know, just one of those things that definitely you can incorporate in any phase of your life. You know, you can do it super young, you can do it super old, you can always pivot into learning something new every single day, you know, and just being a self-learning example is always good. And then whatever you learn through self-learning, you can regurgitate to somebody else and help pay it forward in a sense, right? Which is always a beautiful thing. Each one teach one. It takes a village. Hakuna Matata, all the things, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about today, self-learning as a creative. So some of the biggest things you want to consider is what exactly are you trying to learn when you are self-learning as a creative, right? Because it's easy to jump into the well of knowledge and information and just drown in it, essentially, which is the amount of information that's out there, the amount of people giving information. So just fine tuning like a specific niche or specific thing that you want to learn about will be the best thing to start with. All right. So for instance, if you want to learn videography for the first time, right, I would start with how to use a camera, right? Or honestly, to cater back to previous episodes, I will start with how to use my cell phone as a camera. So let's start there. Okay. So, you know, we'll start there. And then if you were to buy a DSLR, you know, every time I buy a new camera body, I always make sure to watch YouTube videos about what the body does, different features, all this before I even make the purchase. And then I'll also regurgitate or just reaffirm that information once I get the camera body in hand, right? So the biggest place for self-learning as a creative, if you didn't realize by now, is YouTube University. It is the greatest place to learn anything and everything under the sun. YouTube taught me how to roll a blunt back in the day. I don't even smoke. So it's just kind of like the amount of things that you can learn on YouTube is baffling. All right. So especially as a creative, someone, if you want to learn how to shoot, how to edit, how to light certain things, how to use certain equipment. I learned how to use C-stands through, well, I learned that through Jason. But I also went back and relearned it through YouTube. You feel what I'm saying? So, you know, these are just different things that you can learn. And YouTube is just a great free source. You know, all you need is a Google account and you'll have nothing but tens upon hours of just different videos educating you on so many different things in terms of just being a creative, how to write scripts, how to format TV show pilots. These are things that I'm actually learning in the process of right now, just how to format a TV show pilot, how to structure a TV show Bible for an actual show. If you want to learn music, if you want to learn production, if you want to learn just specific equipment styles, if you want to learn cars, or if you want to learn how you can frame and shoot certain things, if you want to learn marketing, if you want to learn SEO, if you want to learn anything under the sun, YouTube has information on it. So aside from YouTube, you know, the biggest thing in terms of self-teaching is not only taking the time to watch the videos on YouTube or just learn through different blog sites or different podcasts like this one. And you also need to take the time to actually utilize the information that you're learning. So learning is easy, right? We can learn all day, every day till the cows come home. But the biggest thing is making sure that we're actually learning in our own pace and our own speed. And the best way to do that is to execute on the information. So again, going back to my previous example of if I were to get like a new camera body, I will learn as much as I can on YouTube, but then I will also fiddle with it in the field. I will practice with it. I will practice what kind of photos I would want to take with it. I will practice what kind of videos I'd want to take with it. I practice using the different settings in different situations so that I know like, okay, I can do this, I can do that, I can do the third. I mean, the light in this situation, does it work in low light? What's the autofocus doing? Like, a lot of different things that, you always want to keep in mind, but that's part of the process of self-learning. Not only just listening to the information, but also just being able to execute on it as comfortably as you can, if that makes sense. So being able to do that will definitely be crucial. But at the end of the day, self-learning, just like any type of education, takes time, right? When you go to college, you don't get a degree in 1 year unless you was just like that. And I wasn't like that. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I wasn't like that. So, it took me 4 years to get my degree, right? And I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't have to go to medical school, and I didn't fail no semester. So, or I didn't have to pause it either. Rather, some people may not have gone through anything, and, they had to just kind of make sure that they can get situated. So they had to come back to school. So, it's a lot of things like that. But the point I'm trying to make is that 4 years is still a long time to be in school learning anything, right? And imagine having to do that same thing, but you're the student and the professor in a sense, right? So you have to learn the things, and you have to learn in a way where you can comprehend it and where you can even potentially teach it to someone else. And that takes, probably even longer than 4 years. For me to get to this point where I'm at right now, I started like 2012, 2013. You feel what I'm saying? And it's 2025. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, it took a lot of time, and I've had a lot of good teachers, mentors, just colleagues, people that have helped me a lot in my journey. One of the biggest shout outs is somebody in the room right now, my guy, Jason. He'll never take the credit, but I've learned a lot just, in my experiences with him. And even in terms of like self-learning, having people that you can collaborate with, having people that can support you in your learning journey, and being always open to learn no matter what position you're in will always help you to learn and to be the best version of yourself in any type of creative field. So just being able to do that, being able to lean on somebody when you need it the most, and being able to just continue to just always be learning and always be flexible in your learning, and never conform to what you don't feel comfortable learning about, what you don't feel comfortable being around. And also just don't conform to anything that doesn't sit well with you in terms of like how to execute on certain things. Because I've learned certain things over the years as well that I've had to unlearn, some things that may be obsolete over time. Some things about, business, or some things about videography that, due to the increase of technology, I may not necessarily need to incorporate. I haven't heard the word mise en scène since college. And I bet most people didn't even know what that means today. So that's kind of like one of those things, right? Even in college, I was self-teaching myself a lot of different things, right? So full transparency, my degree was mainly pertaining to writing when it comes to film and video. So a lot of the production side of things I learned by myself, or I learned through, again, the support of people like Jason or just my contemporaries who were in the field doing their thing. So I didn't particularly learn any of that in a classroom, right? So I didn't learn how to use a camera in a classroom. I didn't learn how to set up no lights in the classroom. I didn't learn nothing about editing. Well, in high school I did, but a lot of the editing after high school, if not all of it, came from YouTube University and me trying to figure it out on my own. So it's just a lot of things like that. Self-learning can get you over certain humps, but at the same time, like, you still need people. So you kind of want to be mindful on both sides of that fence. So another example will also be just knowing when to incorporate some type of coaching or some type of mentorship. I had to go through a coaching program myself to even make it this far, and, for good or bad, that experience helped me as much as it did to get me to this level. And, I would love to seek further coaching in the future. May not be today or tomorrow, but just something to take me to the next level in my career and everything. So, just knowing what you can and can't do on your own is also crucial, but also understanding that you want to like retain as much information as possible on your own and try and figure out what works for you from there. So even if you were to, like I said, go to school, go through a coaching program, have friends that can support you, at the end of the day, you're the only one that dictates your future. So whatever it is that you can take and you can retain and you can apply in your own life, those are going to be the things that are going to take you to the next level. So you can see other people's success, other people's failures, other people's pivots, and you can think that that's going to be a great idea for you, but you're not that person. Me and Jason, like I said, a lot of our situation is almost parallel. He's been doing it longer than me. I'm only bringing him up because he's literally right behind the camera, but he's been doing this a lot longer than me, right? And, you know, our journey has paralleled in a lot of places, right? But at the end of the day, his journey is not the same as mine. It's just realistic. So at the end of the day, as much as I can rely on him as much as possible, I still know when I need to rely on myself and figure things out for myself, especially for my own personal future. So yeah, definitely just knowing where you're going in your life and going in your creative journey is going to be crucial when it comes to what it is you should be learning, who you should be learning from, and how much information you should be retaining from each source, especially when it comes to self-learning and on YouTube. So, you know, you don't want to listen to everybody. Everybody is not your mentor. Everybody doesn't resonate. Everybody's style of teaching also doesn't help you. So I'll give you another example. I personally am a visual learner, right? I learn the best through seeing it firsthand. I don't learn too much from reading it. I probably will learn second best from hearing it maybe, but if I'm able to see it with my eyes, I can definitely retain it and like replicate. And that's practically everything I've ever learned in my life, right? So, you know, reading an ebook about how to do videography would have never helped me. You feel what I'm saying? And part of the reason why YouTube University was so successful for me and why I can't say I graduated, I'm still there to a degree, is because of the visual aspects of it, you know, helping me through the process of being able to visually see and comprehend everything in such a way, like a video platform like YouTube has helped me a lot in terms of my own self-learning processes as a creative. So, you know, these are the type of things to consider when you are self-learning. Again, you don't want to be in a position where you're always self-learning. You do want to find that teacher, that coach, that support that takes you to whatever next level it is that you're going to. And you also want to get into a position where you can build good relationships with people who you can collaborate with and constantly learn through collaboration as well. So these are kind of like the biggest things, but, you know, push come to shove, self-learning is always a key tactic to have. You always want to have tactics that work. If you got to take notes, if you got to record, if you got to, you know, even rewatch videos, you know, so every so often I rewatch certain YouTube videos on editing or watch certain videos on, you know, shooting and things of that nature, right? Just in case there's something you may have forgotten that you may find crucial in your journey. So these are things to kind of always consider. Learning at your own pace is always going to be one of the biggest things, especially as a creative in general. You don't want to necessarily rush to learn anything. You don't want to rush into doing anything yourself. You always want to make sure that you're always doing everything at a high level and you're always taking your time because, like I said, your time is your time. Your success is your success, and nobody's going to dictate that but the Lord. So definitely take your time in doing everything, execute at a high level, and never be afraid to always come back to your self-learning. Don't ever be afraid to teach someone something that you self-learned yourself, and just always pay it forward as much as possible. So that's pretty much it. That's all I got. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to do some trivia. See you there. This video is sponsored by Chop House Media Group. Now listen, podcasting is hard, all right? There's a lot of moving parts to a successful podcast, whether it be the shooting side, the post-production side, the audio mixing and mastering, just having the right strategy and know how to even get this podcast in the right places and getting it into the right positions to get monetized. And that is where Chop House Media Group helps out at. We have coined the phrase, the podcast in the box, where we pretty much facilitate anything and everything that you need to run a successful podcast, between the production, the post-production, the strategy, the the tips and tricks that you need to be 1,000% successful in every single aspect of your podcasting career. Now, if you are interested in being a part of this and making sure that you get your podcast to the next level, whether you are just now starting out your podcast or you are already in the podcasting field but want to take it to another level, be sure to hit the link below and schedule your free consultation with us to make sure that we get your podcast up and going further than you can ever imagine. All right, again, thank you to Chop House Media Group for sponsoring this video. And let's get back to the show. And we're back. All right, so you know what time it is. The laptop is getting closed up and we're going to be doing some trivia. So if you don't know how this goes, this is how it goes. I usually have my producer, Javane, who unfortunately was not able to be here today. You know, he is always in our thoughts and he's definitely still part of the show. He's just had other business affairs, so, you know, much love to him. But we do have my big brother, honorary coach, mentor brother, the guy who helped me out a lot, the one and only Mr. Jason, aka J Based. What's going on, Jason?
Nothing much, man. I'm here. I'm chilling.
Yeah, chilling, man. You know, again, I shouted him out a few times in this episode, so shout out to him. But he's going to be giving 3 questions on today's topic. If I were to get 2 of the 3 incorrect, I will have to give a cash prize to you. Yes, you, the audience member. All you got to do to win the prize is be subscribed to the YouTube channel, like this video, and comment below your favorite moment, and then we'll randomly select someone from the comments to win the cash prize if I were to lose. But I'm trying to go on a win streak, so knock on wood. Here we go.
All right. So the first question is, which learning strategy often leads to faster skill development in creative fields? Okay. Is it A, perfecting one project over several months? Is it B, creating a large volume of small imperfect projects? Is it C, avoiding feedback until a full portfolio is built? Or D, studying multiple disciplines simultaneously without focus?
I gotta hear that all over again.
Is it A, perfecting one project over several months? B, creating a large volume of small, imperfect projects? Is it C, avoiding feedback until a full portfolio is built? Or D, studying multiple disciplines simultaneously without focus?
I want to say B.
Is that your final answer?
Say B one more time.
B, creating a large volume of small, imperfect projects.
I'm going to say yeah.
That is correct.
So you're right. Yeah. Better be done than perfect. So,
which tool or tactic is most effective for tracking your growth as a self-taught creative? Is it A, archiving unused footage? B, maintaining a creative journal or progress log? Is it C, taking breaks from the craft for weeks? Or is it D, avoiding social media entirely?
D would be part of it. No Diddy. I would say B again.
Maintaining a creative journal or a progress log.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah, I didn't speak on that because I've never done that before. But definitely keeping some type of like documentation of your progress in anything. I've never done it as a creative. I have done it in my health and fitness journey, but that is very much like in anything. You should try and document what it is that you're learning, the progress that you're making in it, and just any shortcomings that you may be going through as well, just so you can kind of have a record of it as you keep going. That's a good one.
All right. What's a common mistake many self-taught creatives make early on? Is it A, using auto mode on their camera? Is it B, focusing on fundamentals before style? Is it C, waiting too long to post work publicly? Or is it D, experimenting with different styles and tools?
That's a tough one, actually. Can you read the question and the answers again?
What's a common mistake many self-taught creatives make early on? Is it A, using auto mode on their camera? B, focusing on fundamentals before style? C, waiting too long to post work publicly? Or D, experimenting with different styles and tools?
I feel like all those can contribute. All those can contribute. All those can contribute. So I'm gonna pick a random answer, and then I would just want to go through each answer individually. I'm gonna say A, shooting an auto for too long.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, it's gonna be my final.
It's incorrect.
What was it?
The answer is C, waiting too long to post work publicly.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? That's correct, but shooting an auto too long will hinder your growth in terms of how you can actually know how to shoot something, right? So that's still a hindrance. You feel me? You don't want to be stuck in auto forever, because at that point you might as well just use your iPhone.
But it doesn't say stuck or like for too long. It just says using auto mode, and this is a self taught creatives make early on.
Still, so it's
but it's early.
Yeah, so it's like you should be using auto when it is early. Yes, so all right, I see what you're saying, but I would still say you should be playing with the settings outside of auto too, even if it's not like on a like I'm gonna do it all the time, but at least compare and contrast between auto and what I do on my own, or see what auto does and then go to the settings manually, stuff like that. And then what was
I agree. I just think like one would be more of a mistake than that.
Yeah,
in my opinion, but I do agree with that.
And I also picked because I was already getting my money anyway, so it didn't really
this guy
really matter. And then what was B?
B is focusing on fundamentals before style.
Well, that's not really a hindrance. First of all, you should definitely focus on fundamentals first and foremost. You feel me? That's with anything you try to learn. Like I go back to health and fitness. When you learn to work out for the first time, shout out to Jason again. He first things he told me was like, you gotta know the form first before we start going crazy with weight. You feel what I'm saying? Like, so doing the fundamentals of anything should be the first step, and then you create your creative style from there. You feel what I'm saying? And just kind of like tweak and master what you can and can't do, push the limits of what it is you can and can't do creatively, strictly based on what the fundamentals taught you first. And then what was C one more time?
C is waiting too long to post work publicly.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you need to post per se, but you do need like some type of feedback. So even if it's on like a website, if it's like through family, friends, or people you may know also in similar spaces, you can like show them on your phone or send it to them. Be like, hey, what do you think of this? You feel what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't wait too long to do that. I think that is a pitfall that creators put themselves into, especially when it comes to like musical creatives that I talk to, and I'm not gonna name them individually because they might know who they are. But sometimes they put themselves in a box of like recording or practicing the music for so long that they don't really know what they can improve on because they don't put it out. You feel what I'm saying? And like you don't really know how you can improve on anything if you don't put it out for people to see and get feedback from it. Because some of the biggest hit songs ever were throwaways. You feel what I'm saying? So you kind of need that. And then what was D?
D is experimenting with different styles and tools.
I mean, again, fundamentals should be first, and then you can experiment. But also, like when it comes to self-learning, you should definitely hone in on like one or two things first, and not try to learn 10 different things at the same time, because that's the easiest way to be overwhelmed and not learn anything for real. So just kind of honing in as much as possible, I would say. But all right, cool. So money saved again, money secured. All right, put my wallet back in my pocket. All right now. So thank you again for watching another episode of Chop Logic. Like I said, you can always watch some of the previous episodes. There's always opportunities to win a cash prize, even in the older episodes as well. There's no like time limit on it. As long as we haven't given nothing away, we'll be more than happy to facilitate. Also, I be hearing a lot of feedback. I want to let y'all know, for the record, I don't come up with none of these questions. I don't know none of these questions before I hear them here on camera live, right? So if you got an issue, I'll send you Javane's information. So you can talk to him about it, okay? You can parlay with him however you see fit, all right? But I don't make, you know what I'm saying? I make the rules, I don't make the questions. And that's pretty much it. But again, thank you so much. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this in the future. And of course, this has been Chop Logic. I'm Tevin El Chapo. Friends call me Chop, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.